Hey guys, it's Lava Lamp. Sorry, it's been a while since I did the last tutorial, but as it turns out, I had a few monetization problems with YouTube. Who would have figured, though? So yeah, right now I'm doing this long-awaited Honey Select 2 Studio Neo tutorial. The studio didn't change that much since my last video, which was in 2019. So I'll try to incorporate some new stuff that I might have missed last time. And you know what, a few things are different now, so I'm gonna cut these into short segments, short clear segments, and I'm gonna try to put in some time cards if I can. So if you people who are good already at Studio Neo should be able to find quickly what you want to learn that you didn't learn yet. So I hope this video will be entertaining for all. If you have any questions, as usual, leave them into the comment section, and I'll be sure to just say, this is my French that is blocking me from this word. I just forgot what I was gonna say. Anyways, enjoy the video. Now first off, what I'm gonna show you is how to move around your scene. Drag left click to rotate around your character. Drag right click to zoom in or zoom out. Press both buttons at the same time to move left to right. You sort of understand how it works while trying it out. After a few scenes, it's gonna be like second nature to you. Next off, what I'll be showing you is how to move, rotate, and scale your character. First off, go into your workspace over here, click the character you want to transform, and you're gonna see this little menu down here on your bottom left show up. So over here we have three icons. First one is to move, second is to rotate, and the third is to scale. Let's zoom out by dragging right click out till we see the gizmo over here. If it's not showing, go over here and click the axis to show your axis. To move, simply drag in the direction you want by clicking one of the arrows. Or simply press the center button over here. Drag it in every axis your viewport has to offer. There is some interesting thing you can maybe like over here. It's transparallel. Once you click this transparallel, you'll see these little squares to the right and left. Once you click one of these, it's gonna move on two axes at the same time, but only on these two axes. Now, to rotate your character, go into the rotate icon over here. Gizmo is going to change, and it's pretty much the same principle. Just drag in the direction you want. And it's the same thing for scale. Now, if you want to reset all your transforms, go into the reset transform over here. Now that you know some of the basics, let me show you how to add stuff to your scene. Go into the add section at the top left of your screen. Let's go to girls. To add a character, simply press the character you want to add and then confirm. Let's zoom out and put the character a bit to the right. If you want to change a character for another one, select the character you want to change. Select the character you want to be changed inside your workspace and press change character. If you want only a certain feature of the character to be changed, you can press these over here. If I want only clothes to be replaced on this character with the clothes of this character over here, select the character in your scene and press replace. If you want the character to be deleted, select the character in the workspace and then press the little garbage bin over here. If you want the shortcut on the keyboard, it's simply delete. Same goes for boys and items. If you want an item, just go into the section, then the folder, and then the item you want. It might get tricky because there aren't any previews for your items. But there is a nice mod that has been added, which is this one over here. It is called... Actually, I don't know what it's called, but over here we call it search. Press search, and for instance, as you can see over here, I had car selected. So if you type the item you want, it's gonna class out everything that has CRA in it, or whatever you type in. I think it's way easier. Oh my god, this is a big car. I'm sorry. Let's scale this down. I think it's way easier to go into this than to go through all of these subfiles without even having any preview images, which this one actually has. To close this, you can click on the little magnifier glass over here. And to delete this car, same as usual, select the car and delete it. Next off, we have maps. Press a map you want to add. If you want to move and rotate your map, going to the map icon over here, move it or rotate it. If you want to remove the map, go into your add tab again and press none. Next off, we have light sections. Let me explain what these light do and how to tweak them, so it's going to be way easier for you to handle. Entire map is also called directional map. It's a light that is only affected by rotation. You'll see once I start rotation. If I move, for instance, it doesn't do a thing. If I move rotate, you'll see the light actually is changing with the rotation. To change your light colors, go into anim with your light selected and change the color. If it's a sunset, let's go to orange. I advise you, if you want to do a very natural looking lighting, do not go too crazy on the colors. This is going to look a little bit silly. The more subtle, the better for natural coloring. You can also change the target, shadows, and turn on and off your light. The strength can also be changed, although I do not recommend changing it too much. It's better to go under the value of 1 than going over it. Let's press it to default. Actually, let's delete this light since there is nothing more to cover with it, and go to the next light. Next off, we have point lights. Point lights is affected by the position of the light. So you can move this one, but rotation doesn't do a thing, on the contrary to the directional light. Same goes for the menu over here. You can change the color, the strength, and the range. Let's delete this light. It's really blasting in her eyes. I feel bad. Next off, we have spotlight. Spotlight is in the name. It's a spotlight, which we cannot see the cone. Which is really too bad, because I feel as if showing the actual cone is very important. You can change the spot angle over here in your anim settings. This will change how big your cone for your spotlight is going to be, the range, and its strength. Save this light over here. We have the whole thing repeating itself. This is only for characters, and this is for only maps. These over here will affect both characters and maps. Next off, we have backgrounds. I do not know why this is here. I've never met anybody use backgrounds like these, but, you know, to each his own. If you want to remove the backgrounds, go back up and press none. Next off, we have frames, which is another thing I never used. But, you know, it's here. That pretty much covers the entire ad section. Next off, I'll be showing you how to change your character's clothing states and basic features on your character you can tweak. Go to the anim tab and go into the first tab, which is called current state. Over here you have all clothes, which is all on. If you press this one over here, everything will be half on, and this one will obviously take off all the clothing. If you want to change a certain piece of clothing to off or on, for instance shoes, press on or off over here. If you go down, you can do the same thing for accessories. If you go even lower, you have some cool little sliders that you can use, such as tears, face flushing, skin gloss, and wetness. These are all pretty self-explanatory, so you can use the time you want to check these all out. Next off, I'm going to show you how to pose your characters. Going to the Anim tab and into Kinematics. We have forward kinematics and inverse kinematics. I'm going to call them FK and IK for short. First off, let me show you how FK works on this character over here. Press refer to animation to keep the animation you already have loaded. Then press active. Now our controls are showing up. If you want to pose this character with these FKs, you can only rotate them. On the other hand, if you want to use inverse kinematics, let's try them on this character over here. Refer to animation to keep this pose up, and press active. Now as you can see, our IKs are showing. These IKs can only be moved by, well, moving. You gotta finish that lunch. If you want to move from IK to FK, press copy to FK over here. Then go back into the FK and activate them. That way we keep the setting that we changed when we were in our IK to transfer them to FK mode. If there is a pose that you like and want to save for later, go to the pose section and press the name of the pose, which could be fist up. Then save it. If you want to load this fist up pose, for instance, I want to load it on this character over here. Hey, these poses look a lot alike. Go to that character over here, press fist up and load. So that's pretty much it about posing. If you want to delete a pose, simply delete it by pressing this. Now what I think is too bad about the inverse kinematics is that you're missing this nice controller on the neck and the head. So what you can do is go into the FK and IK tab, press these on, so that you have these moving tabs as well as these rotating tab on your neck and head. While we're at it, let's go into the Advanced IK tab. The Advanced IK tab gives you the option to shrug your character's shoulders however you want them. There's a lot of settings in here, so you might want to take a look sometime. The next tab, we also have the tab called Breathing, which gives us a natural feel for procedural breathing. This is something I covered in another video, so if you're interested in learning more about this, going to my procedural breathing tutorial. Now that we're into the Kinematics tab, let's go over the rest of the tabs that we have in this list. First off, we have Gaze, which is going to be where your character is going to look at. Front, obviously she's going to be looking at the front. Follow, she's going to follow camera. Avert, avert it. And Fixed, it will not move anymore. Adjust will give us a controller that we can position where the character is going to look at. If there is a location you're happy with, let go of the controller and go back to Fixed. I'm going to go back to front. Next off, we have neck. Obviously, it's the same basic principle, except this one we cannot change it with adjust. We have front, follow, anim. Anim is for the basic neck position of the pose or animation you chose. Fix is obviously going to be fixed. Go back to front. You know what? Let's go back to anim. Next off, we have face. We can change the eyebrows, eyes, and mouth. We can also change the blinking, if our character is going to blink or not. For instance, right now, she is not blinking anymore. We can also change the mouth openness and the lip sync. Lip sync is for when you have voices added into your scene. You know what? I'm not gonna go there. Probably know why. Anyways, if you don't want your lips to sync, turn this off. Next off is hands. You can change the hands. These are all presets, by the way. You can all change these by going to your forward or inverse kinematics by pressing left hand or right hand. You can also change the signs of these controllers because, you know, it gets pretty rough working with controllers this size or even controllers this size. I'd say it should be pretty good. Let's turn these off. Go back into our hand section. By the way, 0 means it's gonna be the default pose hand. Next off, we have the pose section, which we already covered. Advanced IK and FK IK. Advanced IK and FK and IK. Next off, I'll be showing you how to load an animation and sync it to another character. Going to the animation tab and pick the animation you want. Pick an animation is pretty easy. Just scroll down and pick the one you want. Now, the tricky part is loading another character and syncing them together. I have loaded this character over here, which is hidden. So let's sync these two characters together. I'm gonna do a simple kissing animation. Let's go to female caress. I think the one I'm looking for is standing kiss. About to begin. Now that we have this one set up, go to the male character and do the same thing, but load the male version. Go to about to begin. Now both characters have their respective animations loaded, but they're not at the right position. So select one character, press Ctrl and the other one. So now we have both selected. Go to move, copy. This is gonna put the character to the exact same position as the other one. Now, what we're gonna do is change the character's extra sliders. What I mean by that is go back into the animations and go to these sliders over here. Not all animations have these extra sliders, but some do. These sliders give you the opportunity to customize your animation to fit better the character's height. Go to the female one and tweak them as well. Once you have something you like, you're ready to go. Select both characters by controlling click. Go back to animation, and now you're ready to go. If you press slow loop, for instance, the animation should start. And you've successfully synced an animation. If you want to reset the animation for all characters, press RE all. If you want to reset that for a certain character, press RE. If you want to force them looping, press force loop. Next off, let's go into a rather boring tab, but very essential, the Systems Configuration tab. First off, we have Config, Background Color. I highly recommend choosing something rather darker than something very blasted like white or a max saturation color. I feel as if I'm more comfortable with working something like this than this. But it's up to you what you feel more comfortable with. Next off, we have image size. If you choose half the image size, you're gonna gain some performance, even more with 1/4. But if you have a good graphics card, keep it at detailed. After that, we have audio settings, which is pretty self-explanatory. Next off, we have camera speed settings, axis size, and object settings. The one I highly recommend switching, I think by default it's at show all. Let me show you something right now. I'm gonna add a sphere. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you switch to selected, the only one you're gonna see is the selected object. If you switch to show all, you're gonna see every one of them. It might not seem like a problem right now, but trust me, once you have a few dozen items inside your scene, you're gonna see nothing but these little white circles. So what I tend to do is do selected inside of show all. That way we're only working with the one we want to work. Gonna delete this little sphere over here. Next we have FK settings. This is gonna be changing the color of your FKs. For instance, let me turn on these FK over here. Turn on the body FKs. Turn on the size. Go back in here. And for instance, let me change the neck color to whatever you want. This could be useful. You know what? I'm gonna leave it at that. This is pretty cool. Just change the body ones to, you know, maybe green. Oh, this is useful. You can also toggle, sorry, the draw lines. Draw lines is gonna draw the skeleton of your character, which could be useful if there's a part of the body that is hidden behind the character. Let me just turn off these FKs. Next off, we have other few settings that are less useful, but you can also check these out if you want to. Oh, you know, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna leave this at don't open, but this could be useful. Next off, logo. This is when you take a screenshot, you're gonna have a logo in the background. I mean, in the foreground. Leave it at default because we mostly use a mod to take our screenshots to get better resolution, so we don't really need this over here. Character lighting, this is gonna be the default lighting, I presume. There it is. You can choose to leave it at 0, but I actually like the default lighting. It's a very useful light to fill in your scene at first. Afterwards, you can actually delete it. I mean, you can't delete it, but you can turn it off. But it's a good starting point, is what I'm saying. You can also change the light's direction. This is pretty cool. It's giving a nice shadow under the chin. I'll leave it at this. Next off, we have screen effects. Do not touch these anymore. These are not really used at all. Because what we're using right now is graphics mod. Graphics mod is combining all of these settings, but with way more options. I'm going to be showing graphics mod a little bit later after this. After that, you can save your scenes by pressing save, load them by loading them with this option over here, reset your scene, or quit the game. Next off, I'll be showing you how to use cameras. We have all of these camera sets over here. To set a camera, press save over the camera you want to be set. In this case, it's camera 1. So when we press camera 1, we're going to get this view over here. If I want to get another camera set, for instance, a back view like this, save it to the camera you want. In this case, let's save it to camera 2. Press save over camera 2 to save it. Oh shit, she's wearing Nikes. Let's promote that. Save it to camera 3, save. Let's do one more shot for good luck. Camera 4, save. Now let's test out these camera sets by pressing all of them. This is camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and camera 4. If you want to make a custom camera that you can actually move, go to this little icon over here. Press it. And now we have a camera on our view. If you want to display this camera, press this little bar over here. Damn, look at that camera though. It's a professional equipment. Now position your camera wherever you want it. If you want to go inside your camera, go to active over here. You can find this little menu by going to the animations tab. If you want to rename your camera, press the name you want. I'll call it Canon EOS R5, my dream camera. If you want to get out of that camera, press active again. Now, if you want to check out this camera, if you have many cameras actually, and you want to sort through them, you can go into set camera over here. You can go in the camera you want. If you want to go out of the camera, press this little dash over here. So that's pretty much all you need to know about cameras. Now, let's talk about a little something called routes. Routes is going to give you the option to link a object or character to a path that it is going to follow along. To start a route, press the route button over here on the right. Now we have the route start. Let's go into the anim tab to add another point. First off, let me just rename this route as main route. It's going to update the name over here in the workspace. Add a new point by clicking add point. Select that point and drag it somewhere else. Not really important. Now what we're going to do is parent this sphere to this route. So click this route, control the sphere, click, and parent. Now this sphere should be linked to the route. And now the positioning is not the same as the route, so let me just unparent this sphere and move the route to the sphere by move copy. Now we can parent this sphere to the route, and it's going to be the exact same position at the start route. To play this route, simply go to all and press play. You can change this the looping of the route. So if you press play, once it's not checked out, it's not going to loop, obviously. If you press the point 1 over here, you can change the speed of this point. If you press also the start point, you can change also its speed. If you want it to be fast at the beginning, but slow on the when it comes back, you can drag this one down to 1.1, let's say, and this one to maybe 17 is intense. Let's go to like 6. Press play. Oh, we need to press that looping though. As you see, it's quicker to go than to come back. We can add a new point by pressing add. And now we're gonna have a full-on, well, it's not a circle, but it's a triangle in which the sphere is gonna follow. Now, if you want to push things up a bit, you can choose to curve certain points. For instance, let me curve point 1. This is going to give you some extra controllers. So as you see, point 1 is now curved. What you can also do is change how fast they come in. So we're going to have some speed up on this one, some slow down, so immediate fast, immediate slow, or bound. It's hard to explain, but mostly what they do is in the name. So this one is going to speed up. As you can see, it starts slow and it starts picking up speed afterwards. So what's really interesting about these paths is that you can also link characters to these paths. You can also link certain parts of a character with an IK controller bound. So that's pretty much everything there is to know about paths. Now if you end up being stuck because you've been rotating, zooming in, zooming out of your scene, and you're focused on something other than your main character, keep in mind you can always press your saved camera as camera 1 to come back. Other than that, you can also press F. F will focus on what is selected in your workspace. For instance, it focused on the gizmo of my character over here. So if you're stuck, keep in mind, you're never really stuck if you press F. Okay, so what I'll be doing now is I'm going to be loading my scene from scratch into the studio. So I'm going to load up the studio right now just to prove that I've got nothing loaded up. By the way, before loading your scenes, if you want to do it like me, be sure that into your settings over here. Wow, I'm going to have to blur that out. You have your enable graphics mod checked. There is DHH, but let's use graphics mod because I think it's more up to date and there's a lot more customization inside this one. So without further ado, let's start the studio. This is going to take maybe a minute or two. A lot of people have been saying to me that they learn a lot better when I'm doing, I'm not showcasing something, I'm just showing how I do things. So yeah, this is going to be showing all of that. Okay, so this is the default studio loaded up. First off, as usual, we have to load a character. So we'll go to add and add your first character. I'm going to load... I like this pack over here. It's a pack I downloaded very recently. I found it on this Discord soft Discord soft studio, Discord soft server. I don't know who the author is. I'm gonna link it and with his name because this dude really did his research. His characters are on point, let's be honest. I'm gonna load, you know what, this one? You know what, this one seems pretty nice. Now, there might be something that you do not have that I do, and it's Hanman's skin texture. This is the reason the skin's character is all gray. It gives subsurface scattering and a lot more detail, so I absolutely love this mod. I highly recommend you get it. Even though it is $10, it is worth every dollar you spend on it. So now, next off, what I'll do is load my preset for the graphics mod. So press F5. Go into presets, and the one I load usually is SSS sorry, 00 HDR. Let's load this one. If you do not have SSS HDR, I'm gonna link it into the video description with all of these presets over here. A lot of these are made by me, but some may be outdated. I know you pick the one you like. There's a nice one called Doc, which is cool too. This was my favorite one before HDR. But yeah, HDR doesn't have any QMap loaded up, so it's gonna keep the dock one loaded up. Anyway, after that I go into lighting over here, and I usually pick a skybox I want to work with. And there is a lot of skyboxes. Also, if you do not have these over here, I'm also gonna be linking these in the video description, so you can download them. So yeah, if you pick and look at what these do, they all give different lightings. You get different lighting for different scenes you want to make. So let's start with this one over here. I'm gonna keep this one. I've never been working with this one, so I think it's good to give it a try. If you want to see the scene lit only with the skybox, you turn off the cam light over here. And this is a scene, as I just said, lit with only the skybox loaded. There's not a lot of lighting, as you can see, because it's it's a night scene, obviously, so you're not gonna get a lot of lighting here. What you can do is turn up the intensity so that the skybox is more blasted. We can also rotate the skybox over here. We're getting some very red lights over here. If we rotate that, we're gonna see that appear on the character's face. It's very subtle over here, but we can see the difference. So you can also change the tint of your skybox if you want it to be a certain tint, which is pretty useful sometimes. Let's turn this cam light back on. And you know what? Actually, let's turn it off. What I usually do is I turn everything off and add a directional light to really get my main light going on. And as I said earlier, directional lights are rotated with camera angles. I mean, a rotation. So let's go down to vertical rotation, horizontal rotation, and orient it to the orientation you want. This seems pretty nice. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna change the skybox over here. I like a more studio looking skybox when I do this. So this is too blasted, so we're gonna reduce the intensity a bit. You know what, let's reduce it a lot because I want to get these shadows over here. So right now it's mainly lit with our directional light. I'm gonna get it a little bit lower. Should be good. Now, next thing we want to do is put a little light to the left over here. You know what? I think this is too centered. I'm doing this video, it's not really scripted or anything. It's more to give you an idea of how my workflow is going. This is nice. This is much better. Because I love to give this shadow over here. If you look at these pictures over here, there's a lot of different ways you can light a character, and lighting really tells a story. I'm not a lighting artist, but I tend to do a little bit of research before doing that, because it is way more complex than just putting out lights inside a scene. So what I'm gonna do is put a new directional light. Hope this is not the one yeah, this is the new one. There must be a way I can rename these lights. Just haven't figured out yet. If you do have this answer, please comment into the comment section. It'll be really helpful for me. So, let's position this light. The reason I'm positioning this light is because I want to have control over my shadows. So for instance, I want to have some shadows on the left side that are a bit less intense. Now I can control the amount of shadows that's being cast on the, if I'm looking at this side, the right side of the character. Now, I like this sliding. I'm going to add some backlight to it. Pretty sure this is already the backlight. Yep. So what I want to have is this little lighting to the exactly to the face shape of the character. This is looking good already. Can do is also change that lighting color. I like a little purple tint to it. It actually fits the little hairpin over here, which is nice. So yeah, this is a lot of work. As you can see, just trial and error. And after that, it comes a lot of post-processing work that you can do over here. But I'm not gonna cover this today because my next tutorial is actually going to be a step-by-step guide of this graphics mod. You might think that this video is coming before the next one. It should be afterwards, but I think it's very useful to know how this works in general before really going into details. Okay, this is starting to look pretty good. Oh, I like this one. Okay. Now after that, I go into the subsurface scattering tab. Tend to mess with these settings. Usually you get different feels from different scenes with subsurface scattering. Some scenes are outside and they're getting a lot of sunset light or, you know, sunlight. So you want to have a very different feel to the subsurface scattering, because it really broadcasts colors differently on the face because of the red and blue. I like to have my subsurface scattering red because it's more realistic. But for instance, if I turn this one off, well, oh my god, this is one terrible example I just gave you, but man, I wish I could like do it on and off of the subsurface scattering just to show you. But yeah, like for instance, depth or intensity. There's a lot of scenes I'd give it very high value, but in this case I'd give it a much lower value because we're having some inside lighting. So this is starting to look pretty good to me. What I do next is pose a character. Or, you know, the surface scattering is a little bit intense again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna maybe turn down the blur size a bit. Or even dither. See, this is already better for me. And as I said earlier, this character is equipped with the hum and skin shaders, so this is why it's getting a very realistic feel to it. If you zoom in again, we're still getting this very intense detailing, which I love. So now we're ready to pose the character. So we go to animation, to character. I like to go into what is it, Studio Graver. Graver have some pretty cool poses you can use. Or there is also another section I like to mess around with is there's this battle in the cut-ins for fighting. Fighting A. Yeah, this is a pretty cool pose. I like this one too. Yeah, those are all very cool poses. Oh my god, look at this one. I think I'm gonna go with something like this. Yeah, this is really cool over here. I'm gonna keep this one. Or you know what? The first one. I'm sorry. I'm real indecisive with these ones, so. Oh, this is a cool one. So, let me just rotate that a little bit. Give it a really action feel. And what I tend to do also is to enhance the field of view. And then zoom in. Alright, this is cool. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this background over here from the skybox and switch it to color. So now we do not have the skybox anymore. Also, what I can do is change the it's the depth of field. There it is. I think it gives a very cool feel to it. Have the foreground blurred a bit and the background focused on. I think it's a bit too blurry in the front. Yeah, this is a little bit better, but even there. You know what? Let's turn this off. I'm not getting the feel I want from it, so I'm gonna leave it that way. I'm gonna save this camera as I showed you into the first part of the tutorial. As my roommate just sneezed. If you want to hide all your UI, press spacebar to get a better look at your composition. Next off, I'm gonna pose the character's face. This is pretty cool. I like this little smirk over here. So, this is starting to look pretty good if you ask me. What I can do is shrug the shoulders a little bit. I'm gonna activate both of my FKs over here. You're gonna see me messing around with these sliders over here. That's normal, it's because I never fully memorized everything that there is over here. But yeah, once I tweak them a little, the memory just comes back right away. Oh, I like this one. A little bit of feel. I'm gonna back up that shoulder a little bit. Show this hand a bit more. Alright, starting to like what I have over here. And you can just rotate afterwards and look at your character from every angle. And if you want to come back to your camera, just press the camera we saved earlier. Oh my god, I changed the character. Or did I forgot to save it? Oh, ain't that a bitch. Oh, I see, I see. It's because it reset my field of view. It gives a way different feel for my camera. So, I'll just rotate that again. And the right angle. And then save that camera, just to be sure. I'm gonna turn off these controllers over here because they're a bit in the way. So yeah, seems pretty interesting to me. Again, this is a very basic setup for a scene. You know what, this shot, this is the money shot. I'm gonna save this one over here. So we got this shot over here and this shot over here that I like. So yeah, very satisfied with what I have over here. No, this is the lighting setup that was made very quickly, but you can spend easily maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour just messing with the lighting setups. So yeah, don't be hesitant. Just work around, try some things, and eventually you get something you like. So if you enjoyed what you saw, be sure to subscribe and maybe even leave a like. As always, the Discord server link is in the description. If you want to come in, talk about your favorite Illusion game, even talk about how was your weekend, I'm always there to listen. And the next video will be about graphics mod in detail, so be sure to be kept up to date for that, and more tutorials to come in the near future. Have a good day, everyone. Peace out.